this was a pension reform speech and really missed the greater obligation of what today stands for, which is day one of the most significant document that the government works on every year, which is the budget. No reference to the process of the public hearings where people come in and speak about the impact of the budget. But there is no indication on what this means for the developmentally disabled, what this means for the hospital and healthcare community, what this means for aid to assistance for home healthcare workers, what this means for nursing home, the traditional things that we speak about year in and year out, and the impact on everyday lives. Key issues that were ignored: property tax impact, property tax relief, and issues around transportation trust fund, as the speaker said. But our pension system is facing bankruptcy, and that it has to be addressed. And the truth of the matter is that public employees have been working with the Speaker and myself, the Senate President and Majority Leader Weinberger in the Senate, over the last number of months to try to craft some form of pension reform that creates a sustainable and predictable long-term future. Public employees are concerned about their pension. The state should be equally concerned about that pension. It has dramatic impact on our economic vitality. But our job as the legislature in the months going forward is to assure those public employees that their retirements are safe. If we can do that, we will go a long way to making our economic future for the state sustainable. The governor's right to point out the overlying burden of the pension and what it means to other programs. But he cannot ignore the fact, that is only telling half of the story. He cannot ignore the fact that he fought for, asked for, and received bipartisan legislation to address this pension system 6 years ago. And the failure of this administration to support a budget that was presented to him last year that made a full funding payment and to continue to make those payments is hypocrisy. The governor talks about it is inexcusable to repeat the mistakes of the past. By not making those payments, he is making the very mistakes that he accused other governors of doing and took credit for making payments. The pension payment is a full obligation that must be paid. Our failure to do that has had a ripple effect into the financial markets, our ability to grow our state, and our ability to attract business. I have to tell you, I don't want it to be lost on the residents of the state that when I and my colleagues do not stand up and applaud a purely grandstanding statement that we will not increase income taxes by 29% or sales tax by 10%. There's not one member of the legislature that has that piece of legislation in, not one. But I wonder if they would stand up and applaud if someone said to them that we were not going to fund their retirement accounts and that the security of their family, their spouses themselves, everything that they have banked their entire existence on and their job day in and day out was not going to be funded. Would they so readily stand up and applaud? Because the failure of this government and this administration to have job growth, economic growth, to replenish the jobs lost during the Great Recession, to make up ground, to stay on pace with neighboring states, to stay on pace with our nation, the failure of this administration to enact any meaningful policy reform that has helped this state to recover is what has retarded our progress of economic growth, which, as the Speaker speaks so eloquently about, it is not a question of whether or not we have money in the budget. It's the growth of the budget is not there because we have failed to stimulate this economy. The governor talked about, and again, much applause over no taxes in this budget. I remind everybody that last year there were over 40 taxes in this budget, the largest being the UEZ tax, his e-cigarette tax, multiple fees. We are committed, because it is the right thing to do, that we will resolve this pension issue and that we will work with union leadership, as we always have, to find a compromise that will put the state on financial well-being and will secure their retirement and their pensions.